We know that that BMW had gone to and from Durk's house a whole bunch of times, but they revealed Vonnie was trying to be slick. He basically allegedly had driven that BMW, all right, from 2 blocks down the street after seeing Quando Rondo's car go past. He went and parked the BMW somewhere in Hollywood, and you know what he did? He then got an Uber directly to Durk's house from where he left the car, and they know where he left the car.
And the rental car company owner calls and says, when am I going to get my car back? Say, hey, it's going to be a while. We're still trying to get some stuff. This is a serious case. Rental car company guy goes, hey, by the way, I got GPS trackers on all my cars. I could give you that data. You can see everywhere where the car's been. Oh, really? They didn't even subpoena that. He went and handed it over, gets his car back. The GPS tracker is huge. It shows the movements of that car, makes it absolutely clear that they were following Quando, that that car was there at the scene of the shooting. And the car goes to and from quite often over the course of 10, 12 days, the residence that Durk Banks is staying at.
In the opening statement, Dede's lawyer said that Vonnie was a sophisticated criminal that was part of an international car theft ring, and he had ties to the cartel.
Her name, bless it. Come here. Come on, why you running? I come in peace and love, brother.
I'm saying that Durk's having a good time in there,
No,
I'm still killing it.
Yeah, listen, I just wanted to make some clarity.
No, bro, I can't right now. I don't want to be late. I don't want to be late.
Listen, on behalf of the Ummah, brother, you made a folly, a fugaboo, where you said that Lil Durk is blaming everything on Vonnie. So the person knows, listen, but
can't do this right now,
no,
bro. I
listen,
appreciate that.
I want you to clear it. No, I need you to clear that up. I need you to,
that's what's said in court, bro.
But no, that's not what's said in court. That's the legal team. Vonnie took, listen, why are you running, my guy? This is what I'm saying. Vonnie, listen, this is all I'm telling you. Hold on, my believing brother. Listen, all I'm saying is Vonnie took accountability and then tried to drag Durk in.
Why did Dede's lawyer say that Vonnie is fucking with the cartel?
I have no idea. All I'm saying is we don't want you to put the narrative out there that Lil Durk is on the stand or testifying against anybody. You said Durk is blaming it on him. He's not. The legal team is saying he has nothing to do with what Vonnie accepted responsibility for. Do you understand? Do you understand the difference, sir? Okay. We just wanted the brother to clarify himself.
Yo, face! Show your face, please, with Durk on top!
Now today was the 4th day of the OTF trial, and so far we're still having a few things we already knew about, followed by a few new details that we're going to be getting into concerning this case. Now there was a lot of back and forth going on about yesterday based on the reporting of the trial upon people who attended the court. Some people felt TrapLoreRoss was alluding to Lil Durk snitching through his lawyers, and you had guys like Seti Nash and Lawyer for Workers' own Mo clap back at Trap and let it be known that he was pushing a false narrative. Now to TrapLoreRoss's defense, Trap didn't verbatim say that Durk was snitching. He said that Durk's defense team is putting everything on OTF Vonnie from what he gathered in the courtroom, and even the tweet he put out there said, quote, Durk just blamed everything on Vonnie. What the F? Now he never said he snitched, and if you want to be technical about it, if you look at what Durk's defense is saying and currently doing, especially yesterday in the opening statements by Durk's attorney Marissa Goldberg, they are putting everything on OTF Vonnie. Marissa Goldberg stated that Vonnie worked for Durk through the music management company Astronaut Sounds, had access to company credit cards, and personally handled major pieces of the operation now being used involving Durk. She also stated that he arranged the plane tickets, secured hotel accommodations, rental vehicles, purchased ski masks, and organized the whole group to travel to Los Angeles to target Quando Rondo. Now the prosecutors agreed that Vonnie handled several of those logistics, but they also stated that he was only carrying out the orders from Lil Durk. So I don't know what that means to y'all, but if you ask me, it sounds a lot like Lil Durk's defense is trying to offload everything on a OTF Vonnie. Now whether you consider that snitching or not is a totally different story and totally up to you. But his defense is definitely putting everything on OTF Vonnie from what we see in here. And I can see why people may interpret it as snitching, because for y'all that never been through the system and dealt with lawyers, in order for an attorney to make these type of statements, it has to be signed off by the defendant, which means Durk will have knowledge of them saying this and will have to confirm it. But also ask yourself, How else would they know all this stuff in the first place? And you know what this put me in the mind of? Big Meech. He was also accused of what they called a third-party cooperation, where he was accused of cooperating through a woman, where they're saying he wasn't on record saying anything or in black and white, but he told a female everything, and that female told the authorities. Now, once again, I'm not saying Lil Durk is snitching per se, but I think we all could agree that his defense is most definitely putting everything on OTF Vonnie, and you could interpret that however you want. Now, here's how they probably see it anyway. Well, OTF Vonnie is snitching, and right now he's one of the government's most damaging witnesses because he was there for everything. So Durk's attorneys are probably saying, well, since they have everything on him and not you, we could flip the narrative. We can discredit him as a witness, claim that he needs to do this to save himself, and also act like he did everything, being that he was caught red-handed and you know nothing about it, right? And honestly, that's really Durk's only defense in a case like this, because we have someone who was right there with him testifying against him, so what can he really say or do anyway? And now that I think about it, have anyone asked themselves, if Vonnie never cooperated, what would Durk's defense be in the first place? Because it seemed like their whole defense right now is just to combat whatever Vonnie have said and make it seem like he's the mastermind, being that he was caught with his hand in the jar. So, interesting perspective. Now, there's a few people mad about TrapLoreRoss's comments about Durk putting it on Vonnie, but it is what it is. And one thing I can say about Trap's coverage of the trial, some of it I agree with and some of it I don't, but I have noticed that there is a lot of biased reporting going on, or people not wanting to speak bad about Durk due to whatever relationship they have or potential relationship they wish to have. Trap have been letting us know when it's a W or L for Durk when it comes to the trial so far. Of course, you're going to have those that have their opinions, but hey, at least he isn't being biased. And we're going to get into the things they said happened in court today, where there's a bunch of things revealed and discussed, from the car used in the shooting, the In-N-Out Burger restaurant being attended by all the suspects, and more of the defense blaming Vonnie. But real quick, for y'all that don't know what we do here, we break down the key points of the trial and what was introduced by others who actually went. So if you want a full step-by-step on what happened, you could visit guys such as TrapLoreRoss, Lawyer for Workers, or Seti Nash when it comes to the video aspect. And if you want to get tapped in with people who covered it on Twitter, I suggest looking at You've Got Mail, Durk All Day, or Tino Is Funny. So we're going to get into it, y'all, but before we do, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hype the video so we can get into the algorithm, and if you not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. Hold up, y'all. There's no way you're watching this video for free right now, where you could be getting paid literally just for playing games while this video play in the background at the same time. Only difference is the increase in your bank account. Now, I'm not saying you'll get rich, but I am saying that you could easily make something while doing nothing except for sitting on the couch playing games if you download the app Free Cash. Tap or click the link I pinned in the comment section, or scan the QR code that I put right here on the screen. Also, if you use my link right now, they give you a little something to start off with just for signing up. So if you want a little Uber Eats or something to snack on and don't feel like dipping into your own wallet, play a few games so you don't have to spend your own ends. Now let's get back to the video. Now, since we were on the topic of people mad at TrapLoreRoss about saying the defense is blaming OTF Vonnie for everything, let's get into him dropping a bombshell about OTF Dede's defense having the nerve to come out and say that OTF Vonnie is a part of a cartel who is involved in an international car theft ring. Check this out.
So look, I want to give you guys another update following on from yesterday. I never said that Lil Durk's a snitch, but what I did say is that he's blaming everything on Vonnie. I'm sticking by that. I know a lot of people are kind of out here basically like doing a little performance, just trying to, you know, come up with the best way that they can ignore the facts and twist the facts to try and defend Durk and, you know, placate the Free Durk crowd. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just here reporting the facts to you. And look, I don't think that Durk's snitching. I don't think Durk's lawyers are snitching. I don't think it qualifies as snitching. I'm not someone who even cares about snitching. But what I do want to say that was crazy that nobody else is talking about was that when Dede's lawyer had his opportunity to speak in the opening statement, and it was said that basically, you know, anything that the other lawyers say, unless people opt out of it, unless Brian Steele and Drew Findlay opt out of what Dede or Lindsay's lawyer are saying, they all agree with it. So in the opening statement, Dede's lawyer said that Vonnie was a sophisticated criminal that was part of an international car theft ring and he had ties to the cartel. Now look, I don't think nothing is snitching. At the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do. But they're talking about, hey, Vonnie has got ties to the cartel. Now I ain't heard about no ties to the cartel until that. They're putting stuff on Vonnie that I hadn't heard before. Now I would love to know what the evidence is that Vonnie has ties to the cartel. Is that something that Vonnie said? Is that something that Durk and Dede's lawyers dug up? I didn't hear any protest from, you know, any of Durk's main lawyers that they didn't want to be part of this information being included in the opening statement that Vonnie was tapped in with the cartels. So look, I don't know what all of that means, but they are blaming everything on Vonnie. That is an absolute fact. People are just super in their feelings because they're not hearing what they want to hear. But I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. All these other guys, take note, all of these other guys that are just telling you what you want to hear, they're just capping. They're listening to what's going on in the courtroom and they're thinking, like, how can I twist this to tell people what they want to hear? They're trying to get clicks, they're trying to get views, they're basically trying to twist the facts to just feed people the slop they want to hear. I'm not doing that, all right? I've been here being factual with you guys every day. When I told everyone that Durk took a W when they severed the charges, everyone was gassed, they were overjoyed, they were loving me. Suddenly, Durk fans love me, all right? And now I'm telling you the truth that he's blaming everything on Vonnie, which is exactly what happened. Now you're all mad, now you're all salty. I'm hearing people saying, oh, you should be banned from the courtroom, all of this nonsense. Well, look, I'm just being honest. You ain't gonna find as honest of a take anywhere else as you will on my page. So stay locked in. I'll be back. I'm going to be posting more on X today because it's kind of hard to get in and out of the courtroom. So what I'm probably going to do is just, pop out during the breaks, make quick X posts so I don't have to leave the courthouse. Then in the full-blown lunch breaks, I'll be out doing the long video for my main channel, or my second channel, TrapLoreRoss, and these little quick updates here. So I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in there.
Now ask yourself, how does his attorneys know this? How would they know enough to say something like this? Like I told y'all before, in order for your lawyer to present something in court, you have to confirm it. So who confirmed that? And let's get this straight, y'all. Lawyers don't care about no street code. They care about getting their clients off to the best of their ability and will go to whatever length to do so. Especially when you have co-defendants, because it's harder to just represent one person when everyone have their story airtight, so it's no slip-ups. This is why most lawyers, when it comes to having co-defendants, they want to sever cases so they can personally defend their clients without worrying about what the next one is doing or jeopardizing their defense. But like Trap said, I didn't see anyone else mention that part of the case, and if this ain't blaming or putting things on Vonnie, then what is? And now that we know this, here's another question. Will it be crazy to say that it's a possibility, being that Vonnie is willingly testifying on Durk and him anyway? The rest of them probably came up with a plan and conspired to put everything on Vonnie, being that he's the one that was caught red-handed. Just a theory. But after seeing what Durk's attorneys and OTF attorneys did, one may believe that something is a little bit fishy, but I'll leave that up to y'all. And if y'all remember in the documents that we seen prior to this trial, the government says that in a text message, Lil Durk told Dede, as long as we keep our mouth shut, we should be good. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. But let's move on to Seti Nash. He speaks on the defense talking about the infamous "don't use my name" text messages and Durk name not being signed to the credit cards. Y'all check this out.
And the reason that document is crazy is because it's the Astro Sounds contract. But it's been Ola Alabaga saying that's the press manager. That's the president, manager, and the organizer, and it's not signed by Lil Durk. And Brian still brings that up. He's like, there's no proof Lil Durk knew about the MX cards. He didn't sign it or any of that. So then Brian still brings up Durk's name was used by Vonnie, but nobody used the cards but Vonnie. So we found out only Vonnie is the one using these freaking cards, bro. So Brian still says to the gate, says, tell the jury. He says this shit to the jury because he's not looking at the jury when he's testifying. So it says Jason Smith used the cards to buy fights, and then Brian still says, what text did you see for the fights? Then the cop walks right into this when it says, don't book no flights with my name on it. Brian still says, we'll get to that, but no others. Cop says no. So Brian still says, did you see Vonnie and Smith calls? And then playing phone tag and all this shit? And Brian still like, the cop like, yeah. Brian still like, William Malcolm was supposed to come and didn't. And they're like, yeah, but Durk never called William Malcolm at all. You don't see any freaking calls between him. Then you see 817, 819, 820, Jim and Durk ain't speak on the phone. And that's important because of what we said earlier about the cop, about Jim saying, bruh, hey man, I talked to Durk the day before I flew out, or the day that I flew out. And he just basically walked into that and was like, nah, that actually, I didn't see no cause between that. And then basically the cops say, I know Durk Banks' names was used to buy them flights. And then they bring up exhibit 118, and that's the text. So Brian still brings up the freaking text, and the freaking fans is like, nah, you can't bring that in. But Brian's still so crafty that, remember, what did the cops say? The cops say, oh, Durk said don't book no flights with my name on it. Oh, okay, cool. So then the government like, it's no foundation for that. The judge like, no, your cops said it. So then we find out that Durk was sending some messages to somebody who wasn't responding on 8/8/17, and he say, you still gonna post? They're like, nobody said anything. So then Durk texts, I'm gonna fall back from this. And he said all this. The cop is basically like, I don't know what this means. And Brian still is walking him down, because if you don't know what none of these texts mean, but you know what don't book no flights in my name mean, there has to be a reason, right? So then Durk say, let's flip this real quick. Durk say, I'ma just fall back from this. And then Durk texts the person blood. And then the cops say, oh, that means blood means homie in Chicago. So then why did y'all name Lil Durk Blood and not everybody else Blood? So then Durk then texts, don't book no flights, no names involved with me. And then the cop said, that means because he didn't want to be involved. That's why I said don't book it. And then Brian's still like, so James Smith is employed by Lil Durk. Cop like, yeah. Brian's still like, so he didn't listen? Cop like, nah, the flights was already booked when Durk said that. So then Brian still walks him down again. Brian still said, but you said Friday the flights were booked, right? Dude like, yeah. But then Brian still say, but they was booked again after Durk told him don't book no my name. So if they was already purchased before, why did you book the damn flights? But then you sit around and you don't book them another way. So he didn't listen to none of the Durk said. So there's no way to know that dude even read these messages at all. At all. So then the dude say, I can only tell you what's sent by Durk. Brian still say, so why didn't he listen the second time? And dude flat out his mouth say, I don't know. And then we went to break.
Now, once again, what do y'all call this? Sounds like Vonnie is being blamed to me, right? Now, said he broke it down where Durk could be in the clear, being that his name isn't attached to anything, and the text message doesn't prove that they are referring to that situation with Quando Rondo. And they're right. But the feds can also come back and flip it by saying, well, his name isn't attached on the credit cards because, as you can see from that text, he doesn't like attaching his name to anything, apparently. And when it comes to the flights, if they're claiming that Durk told them not to book anything under his name and they still did, then why did they all go out there in the first place? What was the point? And if they didn't listen to Durk, you mean to tell me they all listened to Vonnie instead? Who the hell is Vonnie? And why would he book tickets to go out there as well? But once again, this is being dumped on Vonnie because they're painting a narrative that he also wanted to slide for Vaughn. So if he was in charge of orchestrating everything, purchasing everything, having a rental car, booking flights, and having the same ties to Vaughn, if not deeper than Durk, it's almost as if they can say everything they're looking to charge Durk for, they could charge Vonnie, because not only have he admitted to everything already and was caught red-handed, he had motive to slide for Vaughn. Interesting. Now let's get into a different aspect of what went down during trial today from TrapLoreRoss. He explains how Vonnie was caught being slick, trying to hide the rented BMW after the shooting, and also reporting back to Durk house after. And also explain how the infamous OTF Dede picture at In-N-Out Burger came from the fact that everyone allegedly involved was caught on camera at In-N-Out Burger after the shooting took place. Check this out.
All right, so I'm out here outside the courthouse. We got a whole bunch of friends. We made new friends. We made haters along the way, man. There's a whole lot going on out here. But what is going on is that there was some new testimony. The lead detective on the case has been testifying. They gave some more information. We ended yesterday after we kind of heard all of the updates about, we saw the surveillance footage inside the gas station convenience store. We saw the shooting as it happened. But this time we saw a whole bunch of extra stuff. And really, we heard a lot about the cars. right? You always hear Durk be talking about we on them cars. Well, apparently they was really on them cars. Now, the BMW that Vonnie was driving was hiding 2 blocks away, about 7 minutes walk away, 2 blocks driving from when the murder happened. But what's crazy is we actually heard that it's likely that when Quando Rondo's car fled the scene after the shooting, it might have actually driven right past where Vonnie's BMW was hiding. But you know what's even more crazy? It wasn't entirely clear before exactly what was going on. We know that that BMW had gone to and from Durk's house a whole bunch of times, but they revealed Vonnie was trying to be slick. He basically allegedly had driven that BMW, all right, from 2 blocks down the street after seeing Quando Rondo's car go past. He went and parked the BMW somewhere in Hollywood, and you know what he did? He then got an Uber directly to Durk's house from where he left the car, and they know where he left the car. So that's not really a great look, to be honest with you guys. That's not looking too good for Vonnie. So right after that, all right, that's basically what we ended up seeing was everybody linked up at In-N-Out before Vonnie ditched the car. But apparently, quite literally minutes before, as the alleged killers were walking into In-N-Out to go and get a burger, the flights home was suddenly booked. Someone from Durk's team allegedly booked the flights. It was connected to his Amex account, and basically they're saying that the flights were booked and then the killers had it in and out and then they flew back to Chicago. A whole bunch of them together. So that's not really such a great look, all right? It honestly was like pretty intense. I mean, I'm trying to see what else was going on. There was a whole bunch of other interesting stuff, but I'm going to get to it in a different video for you guys. But that's kind of the update on the car. There was a whole bunch of stuff about the car. The cross-examination didn't really yield too much. They tried to say, oh, well, you know, they said at the rental spot, they had a selfie with the guy that runs the rental spot with Durk. They said, well, they had pictures of people with other celebrities, and the detective was just like, I don't remember any of that. And it was like, what were they going to do? Be like, oh yeah, there was a picture of, you know, I don't know, the rental shop owner with LeBron. Maybe LeBron committed the murder. It's like, yeah, but one of the murder cars didn't end up and go to and from LeBron's house. So it was a little bit of a strange line of questioning. But yeah, they're doing everything they can. And obviously everything's been very controversial since yesterday, that they said, you know, Vonnie was blaming everything on Durk was blaming everything on Vonnie. So it's definitely getting a little bit messy. There's a couple of really big updates, and we're all anticipating alleged testimony from OTF Jam. So I'll let you know when that happens. Peace.
Honestly, if you ask me, from what I've seen so far, Durk may have his hands clean in this situation, and although he's at the head of this RICO, being that he's the money and accused of having motive, it's looking like everyone else may have been caught getting their hands dirty while Durk is at a distance. Vonnie tried to be slick and park his car at a distance and took an Uber to Durk's house while he was just minutes away. But what sense does that make? As a juror, you will ask, if you're in a car already, why leave a vehicle to pay for another form of transportation? And we already know that Vonnie is guilty, but it's going to be hard to convince a jury that Durk knew nothing about this when the person who is involved is seen going to your residence right after the shooting and is willing to testify that you did know about it. Now, as far as the In-N-Out burger, OTF Dede and all the other suspects met up there. Then shortly after, all their flights were coincidentally booked around the same time to leave. Now, honestly, this really don't concern Durk because there's nothing tying him to these guys at the In-N-Out burger. The only suspect part is Vonnie being involved and going to his house right afterwards, but as far as everything else, it seemed like all of their hands are dirty while Durk don't have much against them for right now. Now, OTF Dede and the other suspects, it's been mentioned that out of all the suspects, he may be the one to get away because they don't have nothing on him. However, here's TrapLoreRoss speaking on the OTF Dede and the guys inside of In-N-Out Burger a little more. Check this out.
So one of the most intense things that we saw today was a very long and extended look at what was going on inside that In-N-Out Burger location after the murder happened. Now, we saw basically, you know, the alleged hitters along with Dede in the In-N-Out, but not only were they in the In-N-Out, they were checking their phones. They were all looking at their phones. At one point, Dede put his arm around Jam and showed him something on his phone. It was ages, and I'm not gonna lie, we saw the whole footage. It was multiple minutes long. It was a long ass time. We basically watched them waiting for their whole order in In-N-Out, and what was seriously crazy about that is the whole time they looking shifty. I'm not gonna lie, they were low-key looking like people that might have just done something they shouldn't have done. The whole time they in In-N-Out, they looking at their phones, they looking over their shoulders, looking around, they kind of looking mad shifty, looking out the windows as if they thinking, yo, I hope the cops don't turn up any second. That was kind of crazy on its own, but then like in addition to that, they all on their phones, they're all looking at their phones, sharing things, looking at each other. Jam's talking on the phone for an extended period of time. It looks a little bit like Dede's kind of looking at Jam, sort of like, hey, why are you talking on the phone? But they're all looking at their phones. Everybody was looking at their phones, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Durk looked pretty pissed off when that was going on. I'll be real with you. I feel like he looked, you know, a little bit upset. He looked frustrated. He kind of grimaced at certain points. And they brought up his Amex records showing the, you know, flights had been booked in his Amex account basically after everyone had had their In-N-Out burger. And he kind of, I noticed like a little bit of a grimace from him. So I'm not going to lie, that In-N-Out footage was definitely not a good look. You know, a bunch of guys that allegedly just did a hit, they're all in the In-N-Out burger wearing the same shoes and the same pants that they were wearing in the footage of the hit. And then they all on their phones. Immediately after that, we were then shown the TMZ clip. Obviously, it's, you know, the same incident where after the shooting, the car kind of pulls over at another gas station in Hollywood, and we hear Quando screaming no as Pab is pulled out from the car. It's really, really sad stuff, that clip that we saw on TMZ. Now, they didn't say this yet, but it did give you the impression that perhaps that was what they were looking at on their phones inside In-N-Out, because they said that the TMZ reporter had been dispatched immediately to the scene after Quando was on the street screaming no. That's how it was all captured on video. There were apparently amateur videographers, TMZ reporters, everybody was all there trying to get their little clip. And it's honestly dark, to be honest with you, to think that somebody gets killed and you know, their friend is screaming no on the side of the street, and people's first thought is to get the camera out and film. TMZ's first thought is to send somebody down there. That's honestly dark. But anyway, it did seem like that might be what they were looking at. And then there was a whole back and forth about this supposed message that Dede had sent tagging Quando Rondo. Now they're saying that actually no, he was just resharing another post, but still didn't look good. And I'll be honest with you, while Dede's lawyers was talking, I feel like Durk's lawyers were looking a bit pissed off, because it was like, you making the block hot right now. But I'll let you know all about that in another video. I'll see you soon.
Now, I know they say Dede isn't on any text messages, phone recordings, or any of that stuff so far as we know of. But let's be logical for a little bit. Whether you have text messages or not, you literally have a known suspect in the shooting, OTF Jam, who is now a government witness, telling it all and admitting to his wrongdoing, and they have you on camera putting your arm around him, talking, smiling, and checking y'all phones looking nervous right after a homicide. How are y'all going to explain that? Not to mention, how you explain having the same exact clothes on as the shooting suspects that were caught on surveillance? See, here's the thing. People are not breaking down the evidence properly because I think some guys have their own biased narratives. But let's deal with the facts. Forget whatever these lawyers are saying for 1 second. These are humans on a jury that has to see this and come up with their own conclusion. How can you convince a human that you aren't a part of a crime when you have on the same clothes as the known suspects who are caught on camera? Then you are seen with other suspects right after the shooting, including a government witness, and then y'all flights were coincidentally booked together all at the same time. Come on, let's be real. And another thing, how does TMZ keep getting first-hand information about these deaths? We spoke about this in a previous video, but that's another story. Something ain't right with TMZ. Now, another thing about the rented car being used in the commission of the crime, everyone's wondering how did they get the whereabouts and the GPS coordinates and everything they used to find out information on that car. Well, Lawyer for Workers Mo explained how they got the track on the rental car used, and it's crazy because it wasn't even the feds that was able to get into the car system to figure it out. Actually, the information was given to them on a silver platter. Y'all check this out.
The way the cops got their hands on GPS records showing the movements of the white BMW that OTF Vonnie rented and used in this murder is remarkable. So the cops got a search warrant for the rental car company to go seize the car. They seize the car, they start, trying to get their hands on the onboard computer and diagnostics to get any information they can. Time goes by, they got nothing. And the rental car company owner calls and says, when am I gonna get my car back? Say, hey, it's gonna be a while, we're still trying to get some stuff. This is a serious case. Rental car company guy goes, hey, by the way, I got GPS trackers on all my cars. I could give you that data. You can see everywhere where the car's been. Oh, really? They didn't even subpoena that. He went and handed it over, gets his car back. The GPS tracker is huge. It shows the movements of that car, makes it absolutely clear that they were following Quando, that car was there at the scene of the shooting. And the car goes to and from quite often over the course of 10, 12 days, the residence that Durk Banks is staying at. This is going to be a problem for Durk. Durk's lawyers have obviously previewed it, and they don't deny the connection to OTF Vonnie. They readily acknowledge that OTF Vonnie was an employee of Durk. He did a lot of work for Durk and his companies. Ultimately, what they're going to stand on is he did not pay Vonnie or order Vonnie to go and execute and orchestrate this murder. How will that play? Look, I think it's going to come down to how good OTF Vonnie's testimony is, whether the cross-examination tears him to pieces, and ultimately, if Durk Banks has to take the stand to tell the other side of the story and explain to the jury that, yes, I'm very close to this person is around, he's this, he's that, but this stuff about the murder, let me show you our relationship, it never got there, it might come to that.
Now the feds are sneaky. See, I'm sure Vonnie was smart enough to clear everything on that car, because not only is he no fool, but according to OTF Dede's lawyer, he's an international hot car specialist. So he knows the ins and outs when it comes to not getting caught with these cars. However, the rental car guy wanted his car back so bad that he willingly gave up the info on it. This is one of those Scooby-Doo moments where they pull a mask off and they say, and I would have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids. Because if it wasn't for the meddling rental guy, they probably would have never even got the system data for the BMW. However, they did, and now we here. So that seemed to be it pertaining to the fourth day of court. They're saying that OTF Jam testified today, and I'll do another video covering specifically that, if anything. But as for now, here's what I want to say about people saying everything is being put on Vonnie. I know it might be hard to believe this when it's people you idolize, but it is what it is. This is how lawyers play, this is how the feds play, and it's a dangerous game in them courtrooms. This is why you gotta stay out of it. I've seen people be co-defendants in real life, and with no signs of anybody cooperating, you have lawyers throwing another co-defendant under the bus. For instance, remember when they said Gunna snitched and some said he didn't? It's as little as that, where if you are involved in a crime and your defense is saying YSL isn't a gang, but then your co-defendant takes a plea and says yes, YSL is a gang and we do have knowledge of people committing crimes in furtherance of this gang. What do you call that? No, he didn't go and point people out and said they did this or that, but what he did was make it hard for a defense and make it seem like they was lying, destroying the defendant and the lawyer's credibility in court, right? So there's that. Now Durk's arch nemesis DJ Vlad had something to say in regards to what's going on, with reports of Durk's attorneys basically blaming Vonnie for everything, and he would react to it on Twitter. He would tweet, stating, quote, "A lot of people are saying Durk isn't snitching, his lawyer is. As someone who has paid over $1 million in lawyer fees over the years, let me be 100% clear. Your lawyer can only do what you allowed him to do. You paid him, so you have the final say. I personally don't care if Durk is snitching or not, but let me remind everyone that this is the guy who called Gunna and 6ix9ine rats, but ended up doing the same thing when he was in their shoes. It's easy to call someone a snitch when you're sitting in your mansion. When the shoe is on the other foot and you're the one facing life in prison, your rules and values would change very quickly." Now, Vlad does have a point, but take what he says with a grain of salt, because we know he hates Durk's guts because he refused to do interviews with him, and y'all know how Vlad gets every time someone turns him down for an interview, despite him acting like he doesn't care. Now he says he doesn't care about Durk snitching, but if he didn't, he wouldn't have made that post. But then also he got it completely wrong. Durk is not doing what 6ix9ine and Gunna did. It's two completely different things. Tekashi spoke on names and crimes on a bunch of guys. Gunna agreed that YSL was a gang and said that people committed crimes in furtherance of that same gang, when Young Thug and his lawyers was trying to convince the courts of the opposite. So it's two different things, but it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. How do y'all feel about the whole Vonnie getting blamed thing? And what you think about the fourth day in court? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. I'm out. Are you tired of a bunch of social media gurus promising you results with their course, but all they do is take a bunch of information off YouTube and Google, then sell it to you? Well, look no further. Our YouTube Tips and Tricks Masterclass course comes equipped with SEO tips and tricks, along with methods we use to growth hack our YouTube channel. It also includes step-by-step ways to publish your video before uploading to guarantee a great SEO score, therefore your videos can rank and be shown to a bigger audience. Views and subscribers don't come by luck, and just how YouTube have an algorithm, you should have one as well that can guarantee you results. We doing websites and softwares we personally use to generate money creating Faces YouTube channels. If you also would like to skip the process and just buy other pre-built accounts, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, we also threw that in there for you too. We went through trial and error, so you don't have to. Click the link in the description or the comments and get started today.